Hey guys, it's Sandeep from Phone Arena, and in this video we'll be taking a look at the Xiaomi Mi Mix and the bezel-less future that we have in store for us. I was just about to give up on the live stream from the Xiaomi event when I saw that they had another product to announce after the Mi Note 2. Since companies generally save the best for the last, I was wondering what was in store. A concept phone, we were told apparently, but not a concept phone in the exact sense of the word that we are used to by now. Xiaomi unveiled the Mi Mix to the world and it really blew my mind. An unprecedented screen-to-body ratio of 91.3%. I mean, I've seen the sharp aqueous crystal and that looks impressive even now, a few years since its release, but this was just plain bonkers. To understand just how important the Xiaomi Mi Mix is or is going to be for the future devices, we must first understand the concept of bezels and how that affects the size and usability of our devices. Let's start things off with the iPhone 7 Plus. This phone has a 5.5-inch screen and is one of the best smartphone offerings on the market. However, people often complain about the larger than usual footprint on the iPhones, and the reason for that is the bezels. Bezels are any portion of the smartphone that surround the screen on any of the sides. In recent years, we have seen quite a lot of manufacturers try and minimize the bezel size to achieve a more and compact design that is easier to handle. This here is the LG G4 that had a high screen to body ratio at the time with 72.5%. This here is the LG G3, its predecessor, that had an even higher ratio of 75.3%. One of the best implementations of small bezels is the Galaxy S7 Edge, which also has a 5.5-inch display but an even more screen to body ratio of 76.1%, and the phone is quite narrow thanks to the way the curved display wraps around the body. Up until now, the throne belonged to devices from Sharp, such as the Aqueous Crystal, which had a screen-to-body ratio of around 78.5%, but seemed even more minimalistic, thanks to a screen being shifted upwards, thus giving it a truly bezel-less look on three sides. Notice the trend here? All these smartphones have 5.5-inch screens, but they are smaller or bigger than the other based on the size of the bezels. And finally, this is a Mi Max, also from Xiaomi, that has the same 6.4 inches screen size but also much larger footprint, and another one from Sony, the Z Ultra, also with a 6.4 inch screen size. This is why you have smartphones often with large displays that seem compact and others that don't. Xiaomi too has followed with a similar design on the Mi Mix, but one that takes it to the next level. You still have a small portion at the bottom of the smartphone that houses the front-facing camera, but it ditches the traditional earpiece and proximity sensor for high-tech replacements. The proximity sensor is now ultrasonic and is housed beneath the display, and so is the earpiece, which now makes use of a vibrating metal sheet to relay the audio to your ear. The Xiaomi Mi Mix has so less bezels in fact that despite the huge screen size of 6.4 inches, that puts it closer to tablet territory than phablet territory, it is only marginally bigger than the iPhone 6, 6s and 7 Plus models that many use today. It is just a tad bit higher and a bit wider, but it's really impressive that Xiaomi have crammed such a huge display onto such a small footprint. Although a smaller screen would have been probably more mainstream, it would be difficult to cram this much technology onto a smaller phone, and that is probably the main reason for Xiaomi opting for this screen size. The Mi Mix was designed by Philip Stark, the same person who designed a yacht for Steve Jobs, and the phone looks stunning in an all-ceramic attire that is resistant to scratches and looks breathtaking. It packs in a Snapdragon 821 chipset with dual SIM 4G LTE, 4 or 6GB of RAM, 128GB or 256GB of internal storage, a 16MP camera with f2.0 aperture, electronic image stabilization, dual tone LED flash, a 5MP front-facing camera, a USB Type-C port, and a massive 4400 mAh battery. The higher end variant even has gold bezels around the camera and the fingerprint sensor unit at the back. It isn't the fact that the Mi Mix has extremely small bezels that is surprising. What is surprising is that Xiaomi have managed to create a smartphone with such a high screen to body ratio, pack almost every high-end specification and feature possible into its design, price it really well, but most of all, made all of this a reality in 2016, where most other manufacturers might still be looking at their roadmap for a few years from now and wondering how on earth did they exactly pull it off. This is the way of the future. Smartphones that have large displays that are housed into bodies that are relatively small. Imagine a smartphone that has the physical dimensions of a 4.5-inch smartphone but with a 5.5-inch display on board. This would make it easier to handle such devices. Sure, there are certain issues such as durability and palm rejection that have to be taken into consideration, but we need more devices like this to bring innovation to smartphone designs and to push the envelope on what is possible with technology.